edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.
You already know what it is. It is your guy, Phillip Edge. What is going on, all of my good people? You have tuned in to the Edge Life every Sunday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We come to you with the Edge Life. This is your place for relationships. It's for family, and it is for fun. It is going down tonight as we are going to have a dope topic for y'all tonight, man. We are going to have a dope topic for y'all. We are literally tonight talking about this thing right here. We're saying literally what happens. What happens when the honeymoon is over, y'all. Well, I mean, like literally what happens when the honeymoon is over. That is what we are going to be talking about tonight. I am super excited just to be here with you all just for a few minutes. I know some of you already noticed I'm solo dolo again tonight. The lovely wife, she is finishing up her last paper, man. She's been working extremely hard over the past, really over the past several weeks, but really over the past couple of days, she's been working super hard to try to make sure she gets everything together with school, y'all. She's trying to get that thing together. So y'all be praying for her. Y'all be praying for her because she really, she really need that thing. She needs the prayer and the strength of her people. That's you all. So please definitely keep her lifted up. But your boy is gonna be here tonight going solo dolo. So it is definitely gonna be a good thing. Do me a favor real quick though. If you are tuning in, inside the comments box, let me know who you are. Let me know that you're tuning in tonight. And then I got one other thing that I'm gonna ask you to do. It's a favor. Go ahead and share this out with somebody because, listen, somebody might need what we got going on tonight and what we are talking about tonight. Listen, I promise a couple things. By the end of the session, you are going to understand a couple things. You're going to understand the seasons, man. You're going to understand the seasons because tonight we are going to be talking about Gary Chapman, and he has a book called The 4 Seasons of Marriage. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be chopping it up. You're going to be able to kind of look and understand where you and your relationship are and what season you all are in life. This is going to be a good thing, y'all, because we need to know the seasons. Let me just say a couple of quick hellos. I see Terry Jones. My guy Terry Jones is in the house. What is up, Terry Jones? I don't understand why you have this Dallas Cowboy star thing as your little yeah. I don't know why you have that Dallas Cowboy star thing, but anyways, I do welcome you, brother. Welcome. I also see my sister, Miss Tyra Green Simpkins in the house. She said, I need no introductions. LOL, Texas is in the house. And boo, Texas. I am a Giants fan who is getting blown out tonight, but that is neither here nor there. So I do say welcome to my people. And listen, if you are checking us out on the replay, please let your guy know where you are tuning in from, where you're listening in from, because I come back, I do comment, I do check you out, I do say hello, all that good stuff. And Terry saying envy the star. Envy the star. I don't know what's going on here. Tyra's talking about, hey, Terry, I already liked you, Cowboy. Oh, I can't even say that. But anyways, thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight. Y'all do me a favor. Like I said, go ahead and share this out. You never know who might need to know what we are going to be talking about tonight, and it is definitely it is going to be a good thing. So hello and welcome to everybody. So let's just talk about this just a little bit, y'all. Let's talk about this just a little bit, man. There is a guy, his name is Gary Chapman. Gary Chapman, Gary Chapman is a G, man. He's old school. Gary Chapman, for those of you who do not know, he is the guy who wrote The 5 Love Languages. If you've ever read that book, The 5 Love Languages, Gary Chapman is the author of that book. Awesome book. Listen, by the way, if you have never read that book and you are married, you need to go ahead and read that book. It is It is fire, y'all. It is fire. So you need to make sure that you read that book, you check that book out, because that book, it'll change your life. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit. But the interesting thing about Gary Chapman, he obviously wrote a couple other books. And one of the books that he wrote is one called The 4 Seasons of Marriage. The 4 Seasons of Marriage. This book, again, very similar to the 5 love languages. The 4 Seasons of Marriage is another must read for couples, man. If you are coupled up, if you booed up, if you got a boo bear, whatever, you need to read this book, because in the book, it really helps, because it starts breaking down this thing called marriage. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember, for those of you who are married, right? Do you remember, like, the wedding day, right? Do you remember preparation for the wedding day? Do you remember, like what it was like when you were getting ready to get married, and all the things that you thought, right? I mean, this was your baby boo. This was your spouse. This was the one that you were going to marry, and you had all these grandiose hopes, and you knew what it was going to be like, and you just knew marriage was going to be peaches and cream the entire time. And then, life kicked in after the marriage, and it kind of felt like, yeah, some of us, you know what I'm saying? Some of us, even in that process, it got frustrating, because it may not look like what we thought that it was going to look like. And we asked ourselves questions. We're like, you know what? What is really going on here? I mean, is it literally going to be like this for the rest of our lives? Is it going to be like this always? And the truth of the matter is, it's not going to be like that always, right? It's not going to be up always. It's not going to be down always. You might not even be in the middle always, but at the end of the day, marriage is a process. And Gary Chapman, he said this. He says every marriage is still in process. And that right there, y'all, that was a statement that I was just like, yo, that was a dope statement. Every marriage is literally in process. I'm like, come on, man. What do you mean every marriage is in process? What do you mean we're all in process? Everything that we do is about a process, right? It's almost like, if you've ever ran track, it's almost like running hurdles, right? The moment that you get over one hurdle, you can only rest for just a few seconds, because there's another hurdle that is going to come your way. Those of you watching live right now, a question for you real quick. Have you noticed that marriage is seasonal? Let me ask that question. Have you noticed that marriage is seasonal, right? There's winter seasons, there's spring seasons, there's summer seasons, and there's a fall season inside of marriage. Have you noticed that? Those of you who are married, have you noticed that, with your spouse, again, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes y'all fill in the blanks. Y'all fill in the blanks, right? And literally today, I really want to just begin talking about those seasons, what they look like. And I'm just going to give you 3 specific things that we can do to weather the seasons of marriage. Let me say it again. 3 specific things that we can do to weather the seasons of marriage. Tyra's telling us, she says, yes, sometimes they happen all in one week. And you doggone right, Tyra. Sometimes in marriage, it does happen all in one week. You can have winter, spring, summer, fall. There was a song like that, I think. I heard a song about it. But anyways, you can have all of that in one week. But again, if we're going to be in this thing forever, right? Because at the end of the day, when you got into your marriage to be able to say, look, I'm doing this one time and one time only. So you gonna be with me, right? If you mad, you just gonna be mad with me. If you're sad, you just gonna be sad with me. But hold on, I would much rather you be happy with me and me be happy with you. But at the end of the day, we're doing this thing one time and one time only. So let me just give you a couple of things, man. Let me give you a couple of things and I want to help you today. So a couple things that I've realized about marriage. First and foremost, we have to understand that when we look, it's very much like what we see in the book of Ecclesiastes. Those of you who are believers, y'all know how I get down. But in the book of Ecclesiastes, it speaks to us, right? And it says this. It says, there is an occasion for everything. and a time for every activity under heaven, right? And then he goes on and he speaks about what it's a time for. He says, it's a time to give birth, it's a time to die, it's a time to plant, it's a time to uproot, it's a time to kill, it's a time to heal, it's a time to tear down, it's a time to build, and he keeps on going on. But at the end of the day, what he's really saying is there is a time for everything, and you have to be willing to work the time. You have to be willing to work the time, right? So whatever the time is, you got to be in it. You have to be in it. Why do you have to be in it? You have to be in it because when we think about marriage, y'all, marriage, contrary to popular belief, marriage is work, y'all. Marriage is work. Like marriage is real work. Marriage is not the type of work that you just come in. It's like a cush office job where you don't got to do nothing. Nah, marriage is one of the hardest things that you will ever do in your life. I knew when Carrie and I were counseling couples, I make sure that they know and understand what they are getting themselves into because I'm looking at them like, are you sure that you want to get married? Are you sure that you want to go through this? Are you sure? Because you said for better or for worse, for richer and for poor, in sickness and in health, in health till death do us part. These are the things that you said. You are making a commitment and a covenant to an individual, and when you make a commitment and a covenant to an individual, that commitment and that covenant, literally, that's one of those things. It's gonna go on forever. Like forever, this covenant is going to go on, and you have to learn how to weather the storm, right? Just because you had your toe stumped, just because your feelings got hurt, that is not a reason for you to get out of the marriage, out of the relationship. What am I saying, y'all? You gotta go through all kind of things, right? Your marriage is going. Listen, when and those of you who are married, y'all understand what I'm talking about. I mean, you are gonna go through all kinds of things, right? You're gonna have things that happen inside of the marriage in which you're not feeling good. Somebody said something that hurt your feelings, And listen, one of mine. Listen, I'm telling you. One of my things is you get something that is good to eat and you put it in the refrigerator and you just, you can taste it, and you go to the refrigerator and your spouse done ate that thing that you have been salivating over all night long. You're like, where is my so-and-so? And it's gone, and they over there because they just ate it all, y'all. They ate it all. So seriously, there are times when you have to stop and you have to look and you have to understand that when you're speaking about marriage literally is a whole bunch of work. Marriage is a whole bunch of work. It's not about just things being easy all the time, because they're not going to be easy. It's going to be work. And if you're not willing to work, I'm gonna ask you, those of you who are not married, if you're not willing to work, I don't know if you want to get into this thing. If you are married, I'm asking you this question: are you working, and are you giving it your everything? And I ain't talking about giving it your everything, talking about, well, they did this and they did it. No. What can you do, right? What can you do to keep this thing going? Because at the end of the day, like I said, marriage is work, and work does not feel good. But listen, work produces results. Work produces results. Some of you know what I'm talking about because you work out, right? And you're working out. You don't feel like going to work out. You don't feel like waking up early. You don't feel like sweating and doing what you need to do. But at the end of the day, you know that the effort that you put in is going to produce results, and you're going to get those same results out of the thing that you put in. But you got to be willing to work through it. You got to be willing to work through it. I know me, like I'm telling myself, like, there are so many times in which I tried to get my workout on, right? And I was doing so good. And then I stopped. Working. And then all the gains that I made, hear me somebody, all the gains that I made, I lost them. And then I got to the point to where I looked in the mirror and I said, what would have happened if I would have kept on working and I didn't give up? Let me ask you, what would happen in your marriage, in your relationship, if you keep on working and you don't give up on the marriage and you don't give up on the relationship? What would happen if you could fight through situations? What could happen if you just went up and you apologize? I know it wasn't your fault. I get it. It wasn't your fault. But what could happen if you just said, you know what? I'm sorry. You know what? I apologize. What could happen if you take the high road? Look. Somebody got to take the high road in the marriage, y'all. Somebody has to take the high. Why? Because it's work. Somebody has to be the one who's just gonna say, you know what? I ain't even fighting. This is not even worth the fight. And that's just being very, very real, right? It's not worth the fight. Why is it not worth the fight? Because you're gonna go through, man. You're gonna go through. What are you gonna go through? Well, number two, you were gonna go through the seasons, because marriage is seasonal. Marriage is seasonal. It is, y'all. I told you earlier, sometimes you're going to have the winter, sometimes you're going to have the spring, sometimes you're going to have the summer, sometimes you're going to have the fall. But the reality is you're going to have the season, and you're going to grow through it. You are. You're going to grow through it. Listen, have you ever stopped, and those of you, I know I'm talking to some people right now, and you might be having a tough time in your relationship, but do you remember when you got together with that individual? Do you remember the reason that you got together with the individual? See, a lot of times there's a couple of things happening in relationships that cause us and force us to really get to a place to where it's like, I don't even want to deal with this person no more. But the reality, it's not necessarily that you don't want to deal with the person. It's you're in a situation, and the situation got you feeling some kind of way, right? Have you ever been there? Have you ever been to the place where you just, you're feeling some kind of way? And that's just super real, when you're just feeling some kind of way, right? Have you ever been there? But the truth of the matter is, if you can weather through that storm, right? If you can weather through the storm, you know that there is coming a harvest time. And just because you might be in a winter time right now, there's a harvest time that's coming, and it's coming in your life, but you got to be able to weather it. Now, just like my friend Tyra said, that it might all happen in 1 week. But the good news is that it is happening. It is happening, and you have to be willing to allow the thing to happen. Are you willing to allow the thing to happen? Are you willing to trust God, that God is going to work with you, work with your spouse, and watch the thing out? Are you willing to do that? I would hope so. I would hope so, because there's a reason that you got into that marriage in the first place. Like, listen, I think about like some of my Hollywood marriages. Marriage, contrary to popular belief, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's not about the wealth. Some of y'all are like, well, I'll be the judge of that. I'll be the judge of that. But I'm just being honest. I stop and I think about a lot of Hollywood marriages. They got all kind of money. But something is wrong, because as soon as they stub their toe, they're ready to get out of the marriage. Help me understand that. Help me understand that. I stop and I think about what marriage is really all about, and being able to come together, right? And being able to have that 1 Corinthians 13 type of love, to where we like loving, like we're holding no record of wrongdoing type loving. But many relationships and many marriages, they're not doing that, and they're not doing that at all. So I ask, are you willing to weather the storms? Because marriages, they're not only work, but marriages are also seasonal, y'all. Marriage are also seasonal. So I know you're sitting there, and I know you're asking the question. You're like, well, Phillip, okay, how in the world, if marriages are seasonal, how in the world if it's work, what can I do? And listen, y'all, this is getting ready to get good. This is getting ready to get good for you. How in the world, help me. And I'm going to do that just right now. How am I going to do that? Listen, this is what you need to do. You need to make certain that you keep your love tanks full. Let me say it again. You need to make certain that you keep the love tank of your spouse full. That's what we got to do. See, if we can get in the process where we're keeping the love tanks of our spouse full, we can begin changing the game, y'all. We can begin changing the game, because at the end of the day, many times the issue is about the way that we're communicating, and the way that we're communicating our love one to another. Because if we can communicate our love to each other in the right way, guess what? The right things will happen. Let me go back to Gary Chapman's original book, right? Gary Chapman's original book is The 5 Love Languages. If you've never read The 5 Love Languages, I told you earlier, you need to read that book. But there are 5 specific love languages. And the reason these love languages are important is because you potentially could be speaking to your spouse in a language that they don't resonate with, right? Just like if you went to a foreign country and you're trying to speak English, right? And they don't hear English, right? My friend Tyra, she's on the call right now. She went to India, and some people spoke English. Some people did not speak English, and she had to be able to communicate with people, right? And here's the thing. Listen to me, y'all, because this gonna touch you. You can be saying the right thing in the wrong way. Yeah. You could literally be saying the right thing in the wrong way to your spouse. Now, listen, if they're not receiving it in the right way, listen, then it's the wrong way. It's up to us to realize how can we effectively communicate with that person, specifically as it relates to filling their love tank up. So Gary Chapman speaks to us. He says there are 5 specific things that you can do to make sure that your spouse and their love tank is full. Number 1, he speaks about words of affirmation. Words of affirmation are simply finding the good and affirming your spouse in that, right? So finding the good in your spouse and being able to affirm your spouse in that good, right? Is your spouse's love language words of affirmation, right? If they are, you need to speak that language to your spouse to make sure their tank stays full, because if their tank stays full, you are in a situation that regardless of what season you are in, you will prosper. So the first love language is all about words of affirmation. The second love language is called acts of service. Now, this right here, this is my wife's love language, and I found out the hard way. But acts of service is literally doing something to help your spouse. Now, my wife, y'all, I shared this with some of y'all. My wife, we don't have the same love language, right? Hers is acts of service. She loves when I do things to help her out. She loves that. Like when I say she loves that, I mean like she absolutely loves that. So, for example, if I come home and I wash the dishes, or, I put them in the dishwasher, my wife gonna love that, y'all. She gonna love that. She's gonna be like, oh, baby, you love me, right? If I come home and I check the trash and make sure the trash is empty, she comes home, she can say, oh, baby, you love me. If I make that bed up, you know what I'm saying, and tuck the sheets in real tough, she gonna come home and she gonna say, oh, baby, you love me, because these are acts of service, and this is how she sees and receives love, right? But with my wife and I was trying to speak to my wife in my love language. My love language, y'all, is gifts, right? That's my number 1 love language, is in gifts. That actually the third love language that I'll speak about, and it's literally that, giving gifts to your spouse, right? Being able to give gifts to your spouse. So what I was doing, I was literally giving gifts to my wife, and what I was recognizing was, I was like, why in the world is she not happy? Because if I received that same kind of gift, y'all, I would, I'm doing the Cabbage Patch, happy and excited because I received a gift. My wife, she's like, I don't care about that gift. I don't care about that at all, right? She doesn't. So I remember one time, y'all, a couple weeks ago, man, I went out and, my wife got a new MacBook, right? And she got a MacBook, and I was so excited to give my wife the MacBook. I was like, yes, I'm giving her this MacBook. She needs a MacBook. Her other MacBook is it's on its last leg. So I'm going to go and I'm going to give her this MacBook, and she is going to be happy. She's going to be happy, y'all. I went, researched it, figured out, got her the right color, brought the MacBook home, and I was like, hey, check it out. Check it out. Yeah, look, check it out. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I needed one of these. Y'all, listen, that MacBook sat on her dresser for over a week. Every day I came home and I'm looking, I'm like, why ain't you open them? Did I do something wrong? You know what I'm saying? And in my mind was like, you failed because she didn't open up the gift. You failed, right? But my wife was still not happy because, I bought her a MacBook, but I didn't. I didn't fill a dishwasher, right? So I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, man. So literally, I was speaking a love language, mine, to her, and she did not hear it, right? She did not receive that. Now, that doesn't mean she wasn't happy. She did ultimately and eventually open up the MacBook, and she's super, super happy that she got the MacBook. It's working, all that good stuff. But that's not necessarily her love language. Check this out. It's mine. Could it be that you're speaking to your spouse in your love language, and they're not necessarily receiving your love because you're speaking to them in your language, not theirs? What could happen if you spoke to your spouse in their love language? Could that change the game? I believe it could. I believe it could. So let me give you the other two, right? I told you the first one was words of affirmation. The second one was acts of service. The third one was gifts. The fourth love language is what's called quality time. And it's literally what it is, right? So I choose to give you my undivided attention. That's literally what it is, right? Y'all can watch Netflix and chill. Y'all can go out to the movies. Sometimes you can just sit around and say nothing, but it's about being able to give that time to your spouse, right? And letting them know that, listen, I'm willing to put everything else down so that we can have quality time. And then the last one that we'll talk about here of the five is physical touch. And y'all know what that is, right? Y'all know what the physical touch one is, right? So those are the five love languages. But check this out. If you can literally work with your spouse, right? If you can work with your spouse, if you can keep their love tank full, if you can keep their love tank full, guess what? Even when you're growing through the seasons of your marriage, because I told you earlier, you gonna have a seasons in your marriage. So if you're growing through those seasons, but you're still keeping that love tank full, it doesn't matter where you are. You can be winter, spring, summer, fall, but if each of you is full, you're gonna be okay, and you'll be able to work through the process. You'll be able to work through the challenges. You'll be able to work through the stuff. Listen, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. Just two people who make a choice to stick it out and work through it. I'm going to say it again. There's no such thing as a perfect marriage. Just two people who make a choice every single day to stick it in and to stick it out. Listen, love is a choice. And it's a choice literally that you get to make with your spouse. So that is what it's all about. So earlier, I was talking to you. I told you, I said marriage is work. So you got to be willing to work through your marriage. I also said marriage is seasonal, and every marriage has a season, and you might be in a season right now, right? Ask yourself that question. What season is my marriage in? Am I in the winter? Am I in the spring? Am I in the summer? Or am I in the fall, right? What season are you in? And I'm going to tell you this, that no matter what season that you're in, you're still in a good place. And then the last thing I shared with you, I said, you know what? You have to make sure that you're keeping the love tank of your spouse full. And I went back to Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, where Gary speaks to us, and he literally says there are 5 specific love languages that people have. They're simple: words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So those are the 5 love languages, and those are the things that you can do to make sure that you're keeping that love tank full. Because if the loving is good, everything else gonna be all right. Can I say that one more time? If the loving is good, everything else gonna be all right. I've never counseled a couple that had bad loving. Come on, somebody. Come on. I'm just being honest. And listen, the first thing to go is the loving, right? So if the loving is not good, y'all, that's where the problems are. Yeah, somebody right now, you're in a process, right? You're thinking like, is the loving good? Is the loving working? If the loving ain't working, y'all need to check it out. Maybe you are speaking your language as opposed to speaking your spouse's language, right? So at the end of the day, Gary Chapman, y'all, go check out his book, The 4 Seasons of Marriage. It is a super, super dope book. It works in tandem with the 5 love languages, another book from Gary Chapman. I am loving both of those books. So if you ain't done them and checked them out, you need to make sure that you go and that you do this. So let me just do this while I still got you all for a few more minutes. Just real quick, man. If something resonated with you today, put it inside the comments box, man. If there was something that we talked about today that resonated with you, go ahead, put it inside the chat box, because like I said, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's resonating with you all, what's not resonating with you all. If you have a question as it relates to marriage, as it relates to the love languages, as it relates to the different seasons within marriage, man, let me know. I am here just for a few more minutes to answer and address any questions that you all have. I know I still got a couple people who are hanging in there with me. If you're checking me out on the replay, please make sure you post your question in there. I will go back. I will answer and address any questions that you all have. But at the end of the day, y'all, we have to be willing to work our marriages. We have to be willing to keep the love tank. Yeah, that's it. I see you, Tyra. Yep, you got to keep those love tanks full, y'all. Because the problem, I'm telling you, if we're not intentional to keep the love tanks full, check it out, then those things go by the wayside. Have you ever been driving and not looked at your gas tank, looked at your gas thing, right? Whatever, the gas gauge. That's it. Thank you, Phillip. The gas gauge. Have you ever just not looked at it and then you ran out of gas? That wouldn't be good. It's the same thing in life, right? If we're working with our spouse and we're not at least keeping an eye on the gauge to see what's going on, to see if the tank is full, if the tank is empty, the car will tell you what's going on. Your marriage will tell you what's going on, right? If I don't know about you all, but I know in my car right now, like when the gas is getting low, it'll be like boom. Your gas tank is getting low. You know what I'm saying? It'll let me know that the gas tank is getting low. And it's just the same thing within marriage. Your marriage will let you know. And don't get mad if the gas is getting low. Figure out a way to go fill the gas tank up, right? Just like when you're in your car, if the gas is getting low, you don't get mad at the car. You don't say, car, what's going on? I can't believe you getting low. I just put gas in you yesterday, car. I just filled you up yesterday, and now all of a sudden, you're out of gas. And I cannot believe. No, you don't say that. You simply go to the gas station and you fill it up. Because ultimately the responsibility of the car is to get you from point A to point B, and that's the same exact thing that's happening inside of your marriage, man. Your marriage is taking you from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 to year 20 to I'm on 21 right now, right? It's taking you and moving you like that, right? But if you're not doing your part to make sure that the gas is filled up inside the gas tank of the car, then that potentially could be the problem. Anything else, y'all? Anything else, man? Anything else that y'all picked up tonight? Let me know. Let your boy know. Because tonight was good, man. Gary Chapman's book, 5 Love Languages. His other book, The 4 Seasons of Marriage, 2 amazing reads. If you are a married couple, you need to make certain that you read those 2 books. So those should be almost like required reading for every marriage. Required reading for every marriage. Because I'm telling you, when you come into a marriage, you think that it's going to be peaches and cream all the doggone time. You think everything's going to be perfect. And it ain't, y'all. It ain't always going to be perfect. It ain't always going to be, amazing. It's not. You're going to go through those seasons, but praise God. You know what I'm saying? The good news is that he told us that, right? He told you that when you took your vows, but you didn't, you forgot. You forgot. You forgot. You didn't think about it. But he told you. He said, look, for better or for worse, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health. He told you that. So it's not always going to be perfect, but the good news is that if you work it, it can work for you and it can be good. All right? So listen, y'all, I am super excited that y'all tuned in, that y'all hung out with me tonight. I'm going to try my best to get the wife back with me next week. Y'all say a prayer for her, man. Like I told you earlier, she is still downstairs writing. I know this last paper that she wrote 2 today. One of them was 16 pages. I don't know what the other one was, but she has literally been going to town with these papers with school, but this is the last week of school. So y'all say a prayer for her, and I think after tonight, I think we got like a month before she has to go back. But she's halfway done. I'm super excited for her, man. She's halfway done. She is gonna continue on to get this doctorate. So y'all pray. Yeah, I ain't going back though. I'm gonna have my doctorate through her, but unless the Lord say so, I am not going back. That's Nah, I don't watch everything that she got and what she's doing. So I don't plan on going back there. Yeah. Yep. Tyra, she's getting her master's clinical psychology, and she's continuing on into the doctorate program. So she's working right now. She's working hard. But I told her, I said, every week you writing a 20-some page paper. I said, all you need to do is take them 20-some page papers and put those together. That's called a thesis? Something. I mean, she's really, really working extremely hard. I'm super proud of her. I know she came up today. She's like, she was gonna stop, doing her little work thing. She was gonna stop doing that. I said, babe, you don't gotta stop. I said, I get it. I get it. You go do what you need to do. I'll handle the little podcast thing tonight, but I need you to go, and I need you to feel good. Her anxiety was kind of up through the roof. She's been like that all day, and I'm like, yeah, just get it in. Yeah, Tyra says, I don't miss those days. No, not at all. Not at all. But you know what? The good news is, like I said, she is getting close. She's getting close. And I'm like, you know what? Just keep on working. Just keep on working, because at the end of the day, you're going to stop, you're going to turn around, and you're going to be there. You're going to be there. So anyways, I'm just, like I said, I'm super excited, man. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight on The Edge Live. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, my podcast, my individual podcast, Phillip Edge Show, we will be going live on tomorrow. That is the place where your faith, your family, and sports and all that good stuff, it's all going to be collided together. I got a couple dope topics that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So if you're not doing anything around 7 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Standard Time, make sure you tune in, because we are going to have a blast on tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to have a blast on tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. So with that being said, I appreciate you. We're going to get out of here. We're going to give you some time back, man. It is The Edge Live 7. Peace.
Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the